Hello there, welcome back to the Random Show, episode number 71, with your host, Agostino Zinga. This is Random Show, episode number 71. That's 7-1, with your host, Agostino Zinga. I hope you are doing well wherever this live stream may find you. I hope you are doing splendid. That's what my hope is. My hope is that you're doing splendid. My hope is that you're doing splendid. Today's one's going to be not too long. I know I always say that, and then 3 hours later I'm here rabbiting on, but I can't stay up super late. But I still thought I'd put together a quick little live stream and run through some of the drama that's been happening all over at flipping No Jumper, because they've been going absolutely crazy over there. The stuff happening with Kiki, the stuff happening with flipping Flacco has been pretty interesting to watch from the outside in as well. But I'm just going to run through all that stuff and give you some of my thoughts, feelings and impressions regarding all of it as per usual. And as per usual on this live stream, as I always do, if you enjoy it and you like what you're hearing, please make sure that you're liking the stream. That's all I ask for you to do. Just make sure you're liking the stream. All you got to do is smash that little thumbs up button under the stream and let it be known that you're enjoying and that you're liking it. And that'll be greatly appreciated as we continue to do the Lord's work out here. You know what I mean? Continue to do the Lord's work, because why the hell not? Because why the hell not? But big up the stream chat, big up everybody that's around, big up everybody in the stream already. Sapapa, big up Uche, big up Eric C, big up Quincy Harris, big up Eddie D already in the chat, big up Gimme, SKEE's fingers, which sounds oddly disgusting but also a bit of a turn on, right? We've all got SKEE's fingers, right? We've all got fingers that skis or that go through skeezies, you know what I mean. But yeah, big up everybody in the chat, big up everybody hanging in there. I appreciate every single one of you as per usual for joining me in these little redacted streams that we do. So let's move in. First things first, I don't think I've actually spoken about this before, because I clearly wasn't really had my finger on the pulse, and because for the most part, I don't know about you guys, but I've sort of come off or gone off the whole like true crime genre as a whole. I remember for the longest time I used to check out channels like 8 Poncho, and what's the other channel? I forgot. There's a few other ones. There's one that the guy does like coffee. He's got like a coffee theme behind it. But there's a lot of like YouTube channels that focus on true crime. Obviously, there's that one where they, used to have footage of people being interrogated. That doesn't happen anymore on YouTube. I think he's moved it to Patreon. I think it was like JCS or something. I used to be really plugged into that world and watching all the videos, but for a while, I've kind of stepped away from it. I think subconsciously I was getting a little bit scared about viewing all this stuff, and it's a bit of a bummer as well, being constantly reminded of the worst of humans have to offer out there, and all these really sad and tragic stories and all these flipping families that have been broken off the back of that sort of stuff. I'm not really a big fan of it, so I kind of just jumped off of it all in, and I'm kind of happy I did. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of happy I did, because reading this story now that I'm about to show you guys is kind of reminding me why I like to stay away from all of that sort of stuff. I really has reminded me. I'm sure some of you guys already know about it, especially you guys are in America, but this Idaho murder thing is absolutely scary, legitimately scary. It says here, Idaho murders, 2 surviving roommates break their silence, right? It's courtesy of ABC News. It says, let's go down here. 2 University Idaho roommates who survived a mysterious quadruple homicide. Imagine going out to party and to hang out with your flipping college roommates. You're on the way back, you grab something to eat at a local flipping food truck or whatever it may be, and then in the house that you're staying in, 4 of your roommates end up getting murdered inside there, but you 2 survive. Imagine how much guilt and, I don't know, pain and hurt you must be feeling if you were the 2 that survived. Somehow you just survived. I think, what did they say they survived, if I'm not mistaken? I'm trying to remember it. I think they survived just on the back of there. Maybe maybe one of the 2 saw like a shadowy figure, like a guy. They ran outside, and in the panic of running outside, they passed out, and that's when all the murders happened. And then when they woke up, all their friends were dead. Fucking tragic. But anyway, let's continue. 2 University of Idaho roommates who survived a mysterious quadruple homicide in their off-campus house are speaking out for the first time. Roommates Kaylee Goncalves, 21, of Madison Mogan, and Zana Kernold, 20, as well as Kernold's boyfriend Ethan Chapin, were stabbed to death in the girls' off-campus house in the early hours of November 13. Sorry, no suspects have been identified. Hold on, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. My bad. 3 girls, 1 boy. Crazy. They all lit up any room they walked into and were gifts to this world. I wish every day that I could give them all a last hug and say how much I love them, one of the roommates said in a statement ran by the pastor at the memorial service over the weekend. The tragic part of it, right, is all the TikTok videos and the Instagram clips and stuff and their profiles in general, just your standard run-of-the-mill young kids having the time of their life in college, meeting friends and just hanging out together. Legit, like it just looks like any other profile you stumble across of somebody that lives in, I don't know, middle America, wherever Idaho is, just living a quasi quaint flipping life. And if I'm not mistaken, that area where they're from in Idaho, the last actual murder that took place in this kind of way was like 2015 or 2016. So it's clearly a place where young girls, young boys don't feel that, you know, scared about walking home alone, because I'm assuming it's probably a bit of a university town anyway, so there's always somebody around, it's a small community, blah blah blah. But just imagine, man, imagine, God almighty, bless them anyway. I can't imagine. She said Morgan, who was her big sister in the Pi Beta Phi sorority, was the older sister, and she always wanted. You always gave me the best advice, she said. The second surviving roommate said Maddie and Kaylee were like second mums to me and changed the way I look at life. Gonçalves and Morgan were the inseparable duo, she said, describing Morgan as a compassionate and happy-go-lucky and Gonçalves as a strong and driven. Fucking hell. Chaplain and Colonel were the perfect pair who had an unstoppable loving relationship. They both would look after each other with so much love. She added, I know some ways Anna and Ethan are together, keeping each other company, watching us and telling us it's okay. The two surviving roommates, who police says are not suspects, likely slept through the attacks. Okay, so my story wasn't, because I remember reading something online that they ran outside or something and they passed out or something. I don't know where that story came from, but maybe I didn't remember it correctly. But it says they were likely set through the attacks according to authorities. They were on the ground floor while the 4 students killed were on the 2nd floor and 3rd floors. Police notified the surviving roommates. And you know what's really troubling about it? If I remember the story correctly, the doors were open. I think the garden door or something, and I guess maybe because they came back drunk and they weren't really aware and they weren't really keeping attention, someone left the flipping back door open, so whoever came in didn't need to smash anything, so that didn't alert anybody either. So it's a really tragic case. I can't imagine, man. Ikaku's here says Conclave's dog was also found at the scene, so the dog also died. The person murdered the dog. Oh my God. Police said Monday it's not clear where the dog was during the killing, but when officers arrived, there was no indication that the animal had been in the crime scene. The murders likely took place from 3 to 4 a.m., so super quick. That's what I don't get about this stuff. This case is so weird. This person must have been known to this group of kids. Or if they took a chance, that's a big chance to take, right? You're aware that maybe they may have a dog. You don't know how inebriated or how drunk anyone in that house is, because we've all been out on nights out together with friends where you come back to one house and not everybody is the same level of drunk. Some people are sober, some people are smashed, some people are maybe have a couple of drinks in them, but it doesn't mean when you all go back you're all going to sleep at the same time. Some of you might stay up, some of you might go to bed. So to get to that kind of place and to risk being caught in the middle of that kind of thing is a bit wild. It doesn't seem like something that was spontaneous. So maybe it was. Maybe it legitimately was just like a wrong place, wrong time sort of thing. And the worst person ever that you wanted to was walking past your house and they saw the doors were open, the sliding doors, and they just peeped through. And then once they were in there, they just went crazy. That kind of thing, because it kind of ramps up very quickly. You see that a lot with those kind of violent exchanges. It's really serene, really calm. Maybe it's someone coming in being a voyeur. And then as soon as they see somebody awake or somebody make a movement, they automatically go red and start blading everybody up. But God almighty, I can't imagine. The really sad bit about it as well is I think some of the reports said a lot of the kids, I think maybe the couple had flipping defensive marks, so clearly they awoke from the flipping stabbing, because I think they all got stabbed and they were basically trying to defend themselves in the process. So you're kind of half awake, half not, losing consciousness, losing blood. Like, I can't imagine how terrifying and how scary that must have been. God almighty. At 11:58 a.m. a 911, a 911 call from one of the roommates' phones requested help for an unconscious person. Police said a 911 call identity was not being released, but the police said multiple people talked to 911 dispatchers. Oh, I wonder if that was a person that did it. They called 911 as they flipping went off like crazy. Responding officers found the 4 victims on the 2nd floor and 3rd floors, police said. Imagine walking into that house as a local police officer. That's why I have like quite a lot of compassion for police in America in some weird way, especially, or maybe even police in America specifically, because I think there's so many, like, especially with guns and stuff and people with deadly weapons, there's all that kind there's always that kind of thing in the back of your head that this might be the last day that you kind of, you know, breathe fresh air and whatnot. This last day you see your family, see your children, whatever it may be. So there's always that kind of trepidation in the back of your head. And there's also this idea, if you're from a small town and something gruesome happens and you have to be on site there, and maybe you're familiar with the kids, you've known them, you maybe bumped into them a couple of times or told them to put out a joint, and now you're seeing them all strewn over beds and stuff, covered in blood and whatnot. It must be horrible to see that stuff in real life, man. Police said that they do not believe anyone in the house at the time when the 911 call was involved. Police said they've spoken to 2 men who may have been the stalker. Gonzalez mentioned to friends and family. Oh yeah, true. They did say the girl did mention she had a stalker and she felt like she had a stalker. In October, the men were seen at local businesses, and one of the men appeared to follow Gonzalez to into the store and then follow her as she headed to her car, according to police. The man never made contact with the college student, police said. These men have since told police that they were trying to meet women at the business, police said. Okay, cool. They identified the men. The authorities said there's no evidence these men were involved in the murders. Jesus, some pickup artists nearly got roped into this. Moscow police also are continuing to ask the public for help. Department said that the new statement on Monday, we believe someone has information that will add context to the picture of the investigations are creating for what has occurred. Your information, whether you believe it's significant or not, might be the puzzle piece that helps us solve these murders. Police said that they're continuing to investigate what occurred from 9 p.m. to 1:45 a.m. when Chapin and Colonel were believed to have been at the Sigma Chi fraternity house. Any interactions, contacts, directions, and method of travel or anything abnormal could have context. Authorities are also still looking for information about Kaylee having a stalker. The information about the potential stalker's unusual occurrence could be through the tip line. That house might as well be knocked down now, by the way. No one's going to ever want to live at 1122. This house is gone. Finished. This house is finished. No one's ever going to want to live in that house ever again. What are you guys saying here? Anything? Just the fact that somebody would sneak into the house, stab 4 people to death in the sleep, and have leave, and this is so jarring. Exactly, Uche. But that's the thing that I always kind of felt was a little bit misleading. I felt sometimes about some of these true crime podcasts and stuff. Some of them, obviously, you know, they needed to have like a nice buttoned end to it so it can maybe leave the viewers with some level of satisfaction and happiness. But I feel like for the most part, there must be a large contingent of people out there. I know technology basically makes it harder these days. Social media makes it harder. Geotagging makes it harder. But there definitely must be people out there who are getting away with murders left, right, and center just because they're really good at what they do. If there are police who are really good at finding out if you do a crime or you commit a crime or proving if you did it, there must be serial killers, criminals out there in general who are able to do a crime and get away with it, quote unquote. They must exist, especially nowadays. I don't think they can't, especially with the amount of information that people put out there, in the reporting of other crimes, right? There's so much. If you really were sick in the head, you could just watch all that true crime stuff and jot down all the things that you should avoid and kind of make sure that you don't do if you were going to go and do the thing that you were going to do, and then you could essentially kind of get away with it. I know it's a lot harder than being said, whatever it may be, but surely that must be a weird part of it. But these stories are tragic, obviously, because it's young people and you're cutting their lives short. But I'm sure this must happen far more often than people would believe. But they're not really going to report it because you don't want people to be scared and, you know, not willing to go outside and spend money, unfortunately, and let keep the economy keep running. But Jesus Christ, bro! Imagine in your sleep after a night out. And if anything, that's probably the best time to catch somebody slipping, isn't it? Really, you're inebriated, you know, you don't have, you know, control of all your senses. You're probably half asleep, half conscious, not aware, delirious. You might be high. Like, God Almighty, man, Jesus Christ, I can't imagine. I legitimately can't imagine. And sympathy goes again. That house needs to be probably knocked down. No one's gonna live there, but my heart goes out to the 2 survivors, man. Honestly, the survivor's remorse you must be on another level. That whole entire small town as well, people looking at you like you might be involved. They're never quite gonna believe your story about how you got away. Like all these little kind of nonsense things that come off the back of it. Families getting breaking off the back of this. Usually, you know, when the kids are involved and they die, especially in brutal ways like this, usually it leads to divorces and stuff. Like it's so unfortunate. I can't imagine how unfortunate this sort of stuff is. You know, like it's horrendous. And like I said, I think I remember reading this part of Idaho, last murder of some of this sort of level was 2015 or 16 or something. So clearly it's not a place where a lot of these violent acts kind of occur, and clearly a place where girls or, you know, groups of young kids felt comfortable enough to walk around together alone after dark and stuff. Like, madness. We just said I had a stalker and had to install a security system and cameras inside outside of my house. Shit was scary. Yeah, and I get that. This is scarring me. I'm in the house, sitting alone in a big house. Don't want to see clamp a serial killer. Yeah, James Beck. Thank you for that comedic break there, James. I appreciate you. Yeah, let's move off of this anyway, man. This is a vibe killer. Sorry about this. This is the worst way to start a flipping stream that's ever been existed, isn't it? I do apologize. I found out about this stuff and I was like, guys, I gotta show you the stuff, man. God damn it, they're killing everybody out here. But yeah, let's move on. I wanted to touch upon this quickly, right? I'm sure, I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with Danny Mullen. He's got a YouTube channel and he's got a crew of people that he basically hangs around with and does videos with and all that sort of good stuff. And he's got one dude in his crew called King CROCC, or CROCC, and he essentially does a lot of content with him, does some content with No Jumper, and he's been missing, MIA for the most part, and no one really knows what the deal is. And it's quite interesting that one of the people involved with Danny Mullen also basically gave an insight or shed some more information as to what may have happened to King CROCC. And I thought this was interesting because it might be a bit of a cautionary tale and also a little bit of a heads up, or no, a little cautionary tale and also a bit of insight into how cutthroat and really brutal LA must be to live in to try and make your dreams happen and whatnot. So this is courtesy of Reddit, somebody shared, and it's a screenshot I guess taken from Discord where Brooks Crossover says the following. Let's make it smaller actually. You guys are going to find out about this soon enough as it is, so I'll just break it down for you here so you get the real story. It says here, King CROCC couldn't pay his rent, so he disappeared and kind of went MIA, and everyone was worried about him. I think people were trying to ring his phone and it's not, you know, connecting or whatnot. So people were being scared because, you know, they probably were shook and worried that he might do something really drastic. So it said King CROCC couldn't pay his rent. He crashed his car and had to borrow a lot of money from Danny and Leo to fix it. Then skipped town at the beginning of the month, missing a flight for a filming that Danny had already paid for. His problem with drugs and alcohol got so much worse than any of us knew. Danny also was giving him money to pay his rent, but I didn't know about it and I never saw any of that money. Most likely spent on drugs and alcohol. It is assumed that he went AWOL, most likely because of the stress of owing his friends thousands of dollars and he had no way of paying it back, and his drug addiction. I really hope he is okay wherever he is, and because I love him, but I'm poor enough as it is, and now down a lot of money which was meant to be used for me and Italia for our future, and as a best friend it's very disheartening on my end. If he had just been honest with me and told me what was going on, I could have tried to do something to help him, but he left in the middle of the night. Next screenshot here. He left in the middle of the night. Where is it here? Yeah, and here it says, I highly doubt I will ever see any of that money, but what is most important is that he gets the help that he needs to focus on himself. This legitimately made me think, just in general, about how difficult it must be to like try and hustle and make it out in LA, considering the cost of living. And also the fact that for whatever reason, I remember reading somewhere in a couple of places, but I think maybe the States or maybe America or maybe the UK and States is a bit different in this way, but I remember seeing somebody say, I think it was a stand-up, he said something like, when you're doing stand-up comedy, you should never, even if you're starting out, you should never put in your material anything about you having a job. So no kind of bits about, oh, the stresses of working in a team, meetings, annoying bosses, whatever it may be. You shouldn't include that in your material. And I guess the idea behind it was that when people come out to see you, they want to unplug from their everyday life. They don't want to be reminded of the drudgery of work. They kind of want to be living in this fantasy bubble of this club, of you sharing your flipping amazing, crazy stories of your wacky comedy life, but they don't want to be reminded that you're just a regular person like them, which I didn't necessarily buy, because a lot of top comedians out there love to have mundane bits of material that they use, premises based on, airplanes and supermarkets and fast food places and whatnot. They include that all the time. Whereas I feel like a lot of that reason why they don't want to mention jobs is that for whatever reason in America, if you're trying to make it in the entertainment industry or trying to make it in a creative field or try and make it for yourself, people don't like to, people don't want anybody to know that they're also working a full-time job. It's really strange. I've even seen a lot of US streamers do it also. It's clear that they're not all funded from just doing streaming. It's clear that myself, I have a full-time job that I do, like a quote-unquote 9 to 5, and I do this stuff on the side. But for some reason, American streamers don't like saying that kind of thing. They don't like talking about it. They like to kind of pretend and sort of like fake it till you make it, that all they're doing is content, all they're doing is comedy, all they're doing is acting, whatever it may be, or music. And I feel like all that sort of fakery puts really unneeded levels of stress on your back, so that you have to keep that lifestyle going, and it becomes an image thing instead of you focusing on the work and actually being able to look after yourself in any kind of meaningful way. You're focused more on the image of appearing like you're that guy, like you're that girl, and that's the most dangerous part to be in, I think so, ever in life, where you're trying to keep up this facade, because eventually it will come crashing down. And obviously with this guy, it's the same thing. You want to have, you want to be able to live in a certain part of town that allows you access to go meet certain people. You don't want to get a job because you want to keep your schedule or your day kind of free, just in case HBO calls you, just in case Disney calls you, just in case you go on Rogan or something nonsense, some sort of like dream in your head. All these kind of things are quite there. You might want to get equipment also. All these type of things generally affect people's decision making process, and it ends up being a really weird and kind of shaky process that everyone's involved in. But for me personally, I just think I've kind of been fortunate in the way that I've kind of been brought up, in that, I don't know if you guys are similar, but when I grew up, I didn't really ever have much money to do things. I kind of just had to make things work with the little money that I maybe was given, or maybe got given for the government, whatever it may be, right? It wasn't ever money enough to kind of do things to go away, whatever it may be. But whenever little house parties and stuff happened and people would go, I would always, if I didn't have the money to go, I would just not go. Whereas I had other friends who would, borrow outfits from certain friends to wear certain places. They'd go to parties with legitimately $0 in their pockets, so they couldn't even buy a bottle of water kind of thing, and just hope that they can sky drinks, or, just take drinks on toilets and shit that people leave when they're drunk and they forget them on the toilets, all that sort of nonsense. But I've always been a kind of person that if I can't afford something, I'll just stay at home. I never really try to chase any kind of fun. If the fun I couldn't enjoy and do it, the way I wanted to do it, I'd rather just stay at home. And if it became a thing of like being a content creator and out there in LA, if I couldn't afford to be living in a certain space where everyone else is living, or a certain area, I just wouldn't live there. If it meant I had to take a job working in a fast food joint or a bar to keep myself going, I would just do that and then do the content stuff on the side. I wouldn't put myself at risk of financial ruin and of getting evicted just so I can keep up a certain image. I'll just be like, hey, I'm the guy that you just call up here and there whenever I'm available, and I've got a free day on my week that I can kind of do it. Apart from that, I'm gonna have to just stay at home and sort of stream at night or something. I mean, I kind of do that sort of thing. I wouldn't get myself involved in this sort of nonsense that people do out there. But I do have sympathy for it also, because when you're trying to chase your dreams, unfortunately, sometimes you feel like if you make these kind of sacrifices, that sometimes it will pay off. And there's loads of anecdotal kind of evidence that you've got out there of people who've kind of made it work, who kind of decided to really risk it all, and I threw it all away and I had only 100 quid to my name, and then suddenly I made it. It's like, yeah, but those stories are usually exceptions to the rule. I feel like for the most part, people should just be trying to be somewhat honest with the way that they live their life. So I do feel bad for King CROCC. I feel bad for Danny, Danny MULLEN, being the person also that earns the most money out of that group. That must be a weird place to be in, where you're the main quote unquote crew breadwinner. So essentially no one can really be broke around you, because you feel bad because you have the money to basically help them out in some way, shape or form. But you also don't want to enable them, because if you keep bailing people out, especially if they're your friends, you're essentially telling yourself that that person may not be your friend again. Because that's one thing I definitely remember my parents telling me when I was younger, like, make sure you don't ask for money from friends, and make sure that you're aware of your friends that ask you for money also, because essentially that is a agreement that you're basically having, silent agreement that your friendship will never be the same again, especially if that person is really damn bad, because they're gonna always kind of what that word called, they're gonna always despise the fact that they had to ask you. You know, seeing you is going to be a constant reminder of how bad down they were one time when they had to ask you for money, and it just changes the whole dynamic of the friendship and makes it all weird. So I can only imagine what happens in that whole content YouTuber world, where one person is incredibly successful and the rest of the crew are just trying to make it happen, and it isn't necessarily working out the way it needs to be. So it's a little bit weird, it's a little bit crazy. I'm not too sure how it kind of works out for him, but I'm happy to hear, for the most part, it's just a shame and embarrassment thing for King CROCC. He's kind of really run away and sort of maybe collecting his thoughts. Obviously the drugs and the drinking thing is bad, but it does look like more like he's embarrassed, less so as him being like clinically depressed or anything. That would obviously be way more concerning. Hopefully he's able to come back and sort of like chill and be able to regain the trust of his friends and stuff. But I saw this and it kind of bummed me out, but it also reminded me of how cutthroat LA must be to live in, man, to kind of make your dreams happen, because you're constantly having to keep up this facade, you're constantly having to kind of compare yourself to the Joneses, and sometimes it can end up catching up and biting you in your old black derriere. So yeah, big up King CROCC. Hopefully he gets himself sorted out and he gets back on a straight and narrow. Hopefully he does. Hopefully he does. Next, quickly I want to touch upon this. I'm not too sure if you guys have seen this, but this is courtesy of the podcast Back on Fig, featuring TRELL and Smack and Heather. And obviously TRELL's obviously part of At the End of the Day and part of the No Jumper crew, and he's got his own live stream now that he does called Back on Fig. And this is a little clip that they highlighted on their channel, and he's talking about TRELL having to pay for Heather's LIPO. Heather's obviously his partner, his long time partner, wife, whatever it may be, mother of his children, and he's basically talking about how, or she's talking about how the time where he had to pay, she asked him to pay for her LIPO, and he's basically saying, hey, you know, if you're a guy, don't pay for a woman's surgery because it's never going to end, and they should have, you know, try to help them in terms of getting their self-confidence up and whatnot, wherever it may be, as opposed to by paying for the surgery. Because once you pay for one surgery, I guess, I don't really know because I've never got any myself, but allegedly it's quite addicting, because once you get it, you start to notice other things that you may be, you know, feeling like you're a little bit self-conscious about. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it got me thinking about the time when flipping TRELL and Heather decided to do a GoFundMe for their store, Sorella, right? They got this store in Sorella, which looks really amazing on the outside. It's all pink, and they sell like loads of, I guess, women's clothes, maybe some men's clothes also. And if I remember correctly, they had some crazy thing happen where I think somebody was involved in some sort of hit and run. No, it was like a high-speed car chase, something that was part of, you know, some sort of a TV broadcast that happened outside their store. And then some other time, a fire hydrant or something burst outside their store, and all the water was spraying on the side of the store, and it leaked through the roof, and it destroyed loads of merchandise in there, done some damage to the roof as well that all had to be repaired. But I remember the time they raised a GoFundMe, they put a GoFundMe up there, which they obviously cleared the flipping target, and it did really well. But I remember the time thinking, why are Heather and TRELL setting up a GoFundMe to repair their store for, and they only need 15, I say only 15 grand, when they are the same people who are online, are always stunting, they're always driving, you know, amazing luxury cars, all their cute kids are always dressed up in matching outfits. TRELL is clearly somebody that, you know, cares a lot about fashion and is a designer in his own right also. Heather's obviously coming from that world also. It just made me kind of look a bit side-eye, like, why are these guys who kind of purport to be wealthy or rich to some extent asking fans and regular people like you and I for 15 grand when, you know, they're driving flipping, you know, Lambo trucks and shit, and they live in this amazing house that's got a lift in it. So this really, and then to add to the story, TRELL allegedly spent 40k on flipping Heather's LIPO, which ended up not working because she didn't necessarily work out or die or anything. I just find this really odd. So let's play the video and hear them talk about it, and then we can continue.
Y'all should have got surgery at 20 or 30 years old.
I wish I would have known about it. Yeah,
known about it at 20 years old.
I didn't know about it at 20 years old. That wasn't even on my mind until I moved.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I moved to California, and then I saw that this was regular life for these bitches, and everybody was out here bomb. And I got started late. And China is the one that introduced me to surgery because I didn't have no idea about it. And she showed me her surgery papers. That bitch was getting surgery from the top of her head down to the bottom of her fucking ankles and was not playing no games and was so serious about it. And she made me want it so fucking bad. Like, I made Terrell spend 40 racks on my body. I wanted
She didn't make me do a motherfucking thing.
Hey, Terrell.
First of all, you make me do shit.
I need to get my body done. You got that funny right?
First of all,
She came over there.
First
she said,
of all, she sounds stupid as a bitch.
Y'all, man.
I really wanted my body
You
done.
got me.
Bitch ass nigga.
That's what she did.
She got me stupid fucked up.
Someone said in the comments, I used to, was it D-Note says, I used to work in an assistant to a woman who owned a clothing store in a really expensive area and had a really nice car in at home. She was dead broke and in debt. I don't understand that. I guess because I've never had good credit, because of my student loans and shit. But I've never understood how people are able to present to be wealthy, but day to day they're poor. Like, how do you keep the lights on? Like, I don't understand that. How do you pay for the electric? How do you pay for your broadband bill? How do you keep your phone on? Like, those kind of necessities you need on a month-to-month basis, let alone the car note of your Lambo truck, let alone the petrol they need to go into it and the rent or the whatever. How do people do that? I really do wonder. Or is it more a fact of people just don't pay their bills? But then I wouldn't, if you don't pay your bill on like a really nice mansion, sooner rather than later you're gonna get kicked out of it, right? But I guess you can I kind of answer my own question. If you don't pay your bills on everything, it doesn't mean you're gonna get kicked out the next day. You still have some time. You can basically sit in a mansion for a year. You can basically drive a Lambo truck for another 2 years, even though you can't afford it, and then you can still maybe pay for the petrol just by doing like side hustle stuff, right? But I find it incredible how rich people, how rich presenting people are able to sustain that level of flipping look, when really if it was if it was me and I bought a Lambo truck and I couldn't afford it, I'll just sell it the next day. Do you know what I mean? But I guess they're not buying it anyway. They're obviously leasing it. All that kind of stuff comes involved in it. But I find that fascinating. I really, really do.
No.
It's not bad. You ain't saying anything.
Put the pussy
The
on.
what? Like,
I'll
hold
never
on.
forget. Terrell counted out Matlock, Dr. Matlock in Beverly Hills on Sunset. He counted him out.
He just high for no reason.
39,000.
He just high for no reason.
39,000 cash through the money counter to give me fucking lipo.
Only for your stupid ass to still be insecure.
Yeah.
This is for my
And still be
niggas.
fat. And
This
still
for
be
us. It's
fat.
for my
Nah,
niggas. You know what I'm
still
saying?
be
I
fat.
had a girl
That
that
Mr. Matlock
Yeah.
was a mess.
Yeah, I had a-
he
Yeah.
He's down
overcharging.
the drain.
Yeah, I had a girl that I really loved, that I felt like
Mexico.
I had a girl that I really loved,
Mexico.
that I felt like was stupid insecure about her
And
body
I
and then
was.
different things. So I took the initiative to help her. You know what I'm saying? We talking about this marriage shit. Fuck that shit. That shit is trash.
Yeah.
But I took the initiative to help her, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a whole nigga. My heart is all the way into motherfuckers I love.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's funny, but the funny thing about it is how flipping overpriced surgeries are in America based on other countries. Because I remember I wanted to get my teeth done, which I probably might still getting them done, right? Getting the old flipping hip hop chompers, right? The massive Johnny Bravos. That's what I've always kind of wanted to get. And the price difference between paying it in the UK and then going to Turkey or going to other parts of Europe is crazy. Like, let's say, for instance, to get a whole set done and get them nice and sparkly white and all that malarkey, it's probably going to be like $2,000 in Turkey, and it's going to be like 6,000 to 10,000 here in the UK. So the price difference when it comes to doing stuff locally in your actual country and going abroad to these third world quote unquote countries is ridiculous. 40 grand for lipo is ridiculous. I know there's obviously scoping involved in it also, but just for lipo alone is wild. But I guess if you're a loving, doting partner, you don't want your missus to jump on a plane and go to Colombia or DR where they've never ever been just to go under the knife for some cosmetic surgery, because you know you're going to worry for them. So you want them to be safe and you want to go somewhere local, maybe down the street, maybe in Beverly Hills, wherever it may be. So you're going to pay for that privilege. But imagine that, $40,000 on lipo, and then your girl ends up getting it, and then the next day she's ordering Popeyes. Just imagine that. She's ordering Popeyes. That is absolutely crazy to get it. Okay, most people in America fly to Miami for surgery, plastic. Okay, cool. Miami makes sense because that's where everyone goes to stunt and show out anyway as well. That makes a lot of sense why people be going out there. But God Almighty, man, what madness! 40,000, and she just goes and stuffs her face with Popeyes anyway.
Too on God. So I go, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna fuck with you. This nigga, he doing it up for everybody. I'm gonna fuck with you, but. It's a good learning lesson because all the niggas out here, if a bitch is asking you to do that shit, do not help her. Because look, I'm gonna tell you this right now.
Let her get her own
do
body
not
back.
help a bitch get surgery of no kind because she's still gonna find something wrong with herself.
No,
Something
She might
wrong
leave your
with
ass.
herself. Because when you
Which is true, but the main point I want to get to this is just this regarding this screenshot. How can you be in a position, and don't get me wrong, that was a long ago, maybe it was when he had flipping Tiger, Last King's money, maybe things changed, but I just find it really strange how somebody could have the guts and the nerve and the neck to come and ask fans for 15K when you were able to drop $39,000 on your partner's liposuction. I find that really, really, really weird, like super weird. And I'm surprised there wasn't a lot more kickback when the GoFundMe launch. I guess a lot of people were feeling sad for them and sympathy for them because obviously that's their business, something they launched together as a family and whatnot, blah 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 blah. But I just felt like the idea of like, you know, setting up a GoFundMe when you're driving a Ferrari in a Lambo truck and you've got like, you know, all your kids wear matching flipping clothes and stuff and you're clearly like the finer things in life. It just felt a little bit disingenuous. It felt a little bit conniving, a little bit scheming. But then I'm also sure that probably, even though they got all those nice material things, maybe they legitimately never had 15,000 cash in the bank account, which is why I think in general, this is a valuable lesson for everybody just to kind of, you know, not play a position, but be happy where you're at. Because if I'm driving down the street in a nice Lambo truck and I step out in some Dior Jordan 1s with an Amiri pair of jeans, all this corny stuff that I don't like anyway, let me just know you that, right? BB Simon belt, you know, a flipping Palm Angels t-shirt, and I'm looking nice and I've got some nice fragrance on and shit. I want to be able to have the full package. I don't want to just look that way. I want to be able to be like somebody, okay, if I put my card in the flipping machine and somebody happens to be peeking over my shoulder, my checking account has loads of zeros in it. What's the point of driving a Lambo truck if you've not got 15,000 cash in your bank account? It makes no sense. I'd rather drive a Nissan, you know, a Prius or something, or ride a bike or a scooter or get on a flipping, you know, motorbike, whatever it may be, than kind of present myself to be one way when I legitimately don't have any cash in my name, where I can't fix a busted tire, where I can't repair something in my house, and, you know, maybe, you know, buy a new fridge or a new washer and stuff. It just doesn't make any sense personally. But again, maybe this is just the LA life, LA side of things that I have actually no idea about. Maybe the bougie side of things where you're trying to keep up appearances and whatnot. But I found this really odd that they raised this type of amount and no one really kicked up a fuss about it. It sounds really, really strange. You pay for, you know, cosmetic surgery, which again is cosmetic, you know, willingly you pay that, but then you raise a GoFundMe to cover 15,000 worth of repairs for your business. I don't know. I find it a little bit distasteful. If it was me, I'd feel really awkward about doing it. It would be like a disclaimer, and I'd be honest, be like, hey guys, I know we present ourselves a certain way. I know I laugh about my lift in my house. I know I've got this amazing car collection and stuff. I know it, and it really comes across weird, but let me just let you know that a lot of the stuff is leased, and obviously we're in a position with a business, you're always having to pay salary and stuff, and we don't ever have liquid cash. I don't describe or explain some bits about it, especially if you're going to ask people for their money, you need to explain something. But I felt like the way they did it, I don't know, it's a little bit slimy, a little bit corny. I don't really like it, man. It comes across a bit bad. I know what they're saying. Message is quite cool in terms of, you know, love your body, and obviously, you know, being a supporting partner and self-confidence and blah, blah, blah. When I saw this video, I was like, hold on, didn't you guys ask for 15 grand from your fans? Like regular working class people, you asked them for 15K. I'm assuming, you know, they're okay because if I'm not mistaken, Tiger covered most of the bill. I think he donated like 10 grand or something, but still they were out there asking for, you know, dollar donations and whatnot to meet a flipping, you know, a certain amount to do the repairs on their store from like regular schmegular people who probably couldn't get near their orbit, or who probably couldn't get past their gate of where they live, you know, but yet they're driving around like that, like, you know, like kings and princes. I don't know. maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. It's not that big of a deal. But I found that a little bit distasteful when I did see that on my old YouTube page. Who said, dude, he's a PPP loan. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I don't know. I could never do something. But again, I think maybe in life, I think I've said this before, why I think Brendan Schaub is quite amazing in his own way, is that I think sometimes I don't have the ability to not have shame or to not feel embarrassed. And I feel like some people, especially in entertainment or in content creation, you have to have the ability to not be embarrassed. The one who can not be embarrassed is the one who wins. Most of the time, if you have the ability to not be embarrassed and you have no shame, you clearly can win and go really, really far. I think that's a real secret ingredient. And obviously being delusional, like, you know, not really understanding your limitations or your position and always thinking you could do better and better and better and better. That could legitimately get you where you need to get to, because I don't know if I could ever have the gumption to come up and set up a GoFundMe if I'm legitimately driving a Ferrari. Like if I'm posting up my Ferrari every time and I've got a Rolls Royce and I'm doing that in my head, right? I'm doing that so you can see the double R all the time. I'm not going to be asking you to send me pizza money. Do you know what I mean? That's fucking wild. That sounds like legitimate taking the piss out of your fans. But again, maybe I'm the one chatting out my ass. I don't know what I'm talking about, and there's more to the story that meets the eye. Blah blah blah. Who knows? But I just found that very odd, very suspicious. But again, maybe I just don't know what's going on. Let me just quickly post. What is this thing? I want to. What are people saying in the chat here? Blah, blah, blah. I think boobs are only plastic surgery. That makes sense. The gym can fix most things. Too lazy to do. A lot of gain back the weight of lipo anyways, be the lifestyle didn't change. Yeah, you know what? I don't mind. Honestly, get plastic surgery. I'm not really opposed to it. I don't really give a shit. I think the only thing that I'm opposed to, I don't really fuck with, is the Kardashians when it comes to lying about it. I feel like that's really, really that's not as honorable, dishonorable. I don't know what the term is, but I hate that they kind of present themselves to be one way, like the hard work thing that Kim did, right? That comment, fair enough. Hard work is definitely an ingredient that's going to be crucial for you to be successful. But let's not also deny that you're not like every other single mom out there. You have help. You have an entire family behind you. You have assistants that can also raise your kids and all this type of stuff that can obviously help you to concentrate on working hard at your business and at your fitness. But I just don't like the kind of refusal to acknowledge the cosmetic surgery side of things, because we all know you can't just go from, yeah, exactly, deceitful and manipulative. There, thank you, Uche. You can't just go from being 0 to 100 without something, especially the way that they look. Just admit it. No one's saying you're not hot because you're just not born hot. We've all seen pictures of like young Kim. She looks fantastic. Maybe not Kylie, but still, they look, you know, they've got their own sense of prettiness that you might appreciate from them. But let's not deny or kind of act like the cosmetic surgery didn't add something to it. That's the only thing I don't like. So I think girls, boys, get whatever cosmetic surgery you want to get. And again, it's not anyone's business to divulge your personal fucking, you know, cosmetic surgery or medical things that you do. Don't get me wrong. But if someone asks you point blank, like the Liver King thing, you don't need to tell anybody anything and offer up information freely. I know it's a business and it's an industry, but if somebody asks you flat out, hey, have you got any work done? You should be honest and just say, yes, you did, especially if you're trying to sell this advice that you're some sort of bastion for young girls and whatnot, and people are looking up to you. Just be honest about it. That's the thing I hate. And for some reason, I don't know why that's a thing, especially with women. Like, it's a thing to like not tell the truth about your cosmetic surgery. I don't know why it is, because no one cares anymore. No one actually, it's not like before when you were younger, where maybe some guys look at you and think, oh, it's like, you know, those guys who have really weird things about makeup. You know, those guys exist, like, oh, I don't like girls that wear makeup. Well, that sort of nonsense. No one cares. You can cake your face up. You can have plastic surgery as you want. Sometimes the more, the better. So why are you lying? And who are you lying to? Because other girls know. That's one thing you can't fool. You can't fool other girls. Other girls and women know you've got work done. They all know, because all women have their own insecurities, have their own things that they love to change and stuff. And some of them are on pages that you know, dissect people's work, and YouTube accounts. It's a whole little industry and subculture and whatnot. So you can't fool women. And the guys don't give a shit. So who are you actually lying to? The doctors know what you got done. You know what you got done. Yeah, I mean, like, whoever's funding it knows what you got done. Why the lying? But I guess, to be honest, it's the same reason why people are lying about steroids in the fitness industry, right? There's definitely something to be gained from lying and keeping that charade, or keeping that facade that you're like all natural and, you know, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, and it's just, you know, because you're eating flipping chicken and white rice or something. I don't know.
Like a lot of these elites are.
Yeah, let's go. We gotta play this. We got you heard about it. Hold on, I need to find a clip first because I need to find both of them because I think both of them tell an interesting story. Yeah, let's go this. Let's play this one. Kanye had another interview where he sat down with Gavin McGinnis on censored.tv. All of these places that they have, right? Cozy.tv, DLive, they have some of the, is it me or do they have the worst names? Censored.tv, uncensored, freedom of speech, nationalism TV. Like, go fuck yourself. They take themselves so seriously. They legitimately think they're in some sort of jihad, right? Some sort of cultural jihad, some sort of war that they're flipping campaigning for. Like, absolute losers. But anyway, Kanye sat down, or Ye sat down with Gavin McGinnis, and he uttered this line that I thought was really interesting because it made me think. Yeah, exactly. Truth Social, Getter, exactly, Koila. Big up Koila in the chat as well. Exactly, Getter, Truth Social. Like, what the fuck does Getter mean? Or Truth Social? Truth Social, you know? Go fuck yourself. But anyway, he was sitting down with Gavin McGinnis, and I love this because I was thinking to myself, you know what? If Ye's really on this kind of burn the boats vibe, kamikaze thing, let's just push this to the end, instead of doing the whole Jew thing, because I think the Jew thing, people are tired of it now, right? You keep screaming about the Jews, we're all bored now, we're tired. It's like Joe Rogan when he kept banging on the whole trans thing, right? Trans girls, trans bathrooms, trans people involved in sports. Like, after a while, like, Joe Rogan, please, enough. Like, cancel culture, enough. So I think everyone's tired of Kanye talking about the Jews. If Kanye really wants to get in trouble and really wants to burn the boats, I think he needs to change the Jews and start attacking us, the niggers, the blacks, right? The coloreds. He needs to start attacking us again. If he attacks us, I think it's going to ramp up on another level, because I feel like this whole anti-Semitism flipping PR campaign, or this kind of, you know, press run that he's been doing, hasn't necessarily been hitting the same. No one really cares. I've seen some clips of the Gavin McGinnis interview here and there. I've seen some clips of the Alex Jones things, but I don't feel like it hit the same way that it did when he was first going around saying what he's saying. People have kind of slowly but surely got bored of him. They've sort of like ignored him, like the little kid that's screaming on an airplane. People just pretend like, you know, you can't hear it, but it's obviously still annoying and ringing in the background. So I think what he says here about the Jews, if he said the same thing about blacks and slavery, especially African Americans, they're gonna go crazy, because I feel like this comment was absolutely nuts anyway, don't get me wrong. But please, Kanye, if you really want smoke, if you really want to end things and you want to ramp things up to the next level, please say this about slavery, because I want to see some action. I want to see the social media light up when you do, because that's really going to test people's fandom of Kanye. So this is a clip of Kanye telling the Jews to get over Hitler. That's what I said. Look at this.
You love Jews, but you're canceled for anti-Semitism because you also love Hitler, but you love everyone equally. Good guys and bad guys.
Yeah, Jewish people can't tell me who I can love and who I can't love. You can't force your pain on everyone else. Jewish people, forgive Hitler today. Let it go. Let it go. And stop trying to force it on other people. Good night.
Are you insane? Imagine. Let it, Jewish people, let go, let it go. as if Hitler borrowed their copy of Madden and didn't give it back to them or something, right? And lost it all these years. Like, just let it go. What? Let it go. Yo, Ye is on a mad one, but I honestly do believe if he said the same thing about blacks and slavery, and just said, hey, black people need to let go of slavery. We are no longer slaves anymore. We've been free for many years now. Look at me, I'm rich. If I can do it, you can do it too. That kind of rhetoric, yo, people would go so mad. They'd be so crazy. They'd be so angry. I really want him to do that, but it feels like he's kind of like attacking a group of people who don't really care for him anyway as a person, as a musician, so it doesn't really matter for the grand scheme of things. And they've essentially already flexed their muscle anyway, right? They got his accounts taken away, you know, they freeze his assets for the most part, or his cash and whatnot. So they've already done whatever damage they need to be done to him. They don't really care too tough, I don't think. I wouldn't imagine many Jewish people. Obviously, it's not nice to hear what he's saying because you're afraid that it might sort of stir up some, you know, underlying, you know, bubbling sentiment out there. But I think if it was gonna do that, you would have already seen something already. I don't think many people. That's why I think sometimes maybe the anti-Semitism thing is maybe a bit overcooked. I don't don't think people are really out there waiting for an excuse to go and attack Jews. I don't think so. Maybe there are some weirdos and wackos out there. I think if that was the case, I think Kanye's words would have maybe sparked something sooner. It's been a little bit quiet on that front. People just kind of let it kind of roll. But honestly, man, I hope he says that about black people in African Americans. Please get over slavery or something. That would be so hilarious. He's gonna absolutely rile everybody, and everybody that was kind of capping for him and saying he had a point about the control in the music industry and all this sort of stuff. They'd be tested. That'll be a real test of your Kanye standum and your and your adoration of this guy. Will you be happy to let it slide if he says black people need to get over slavery? Will you be happy? That would be absolutely wild to see. I really, really want that to happen because, for just from an entertainment point of view, because I don't necessarily listen to this guy, what he says. I'm easy to separate the art from the artist. I don't necessarily need to agree with everything he says to enjoy the music or the shoes or the fashion and shit. But if he really wants to stir a reaction and really get things going, let's light it all up. Next, we're going to mention this. Have you seen this? This is a good example of the difference. But people are already saying, he said, yes, slavery as a choice was one thing, but that's nothing compared to him saying that Hitler is a nice guy and that he likes Hitler and that Jews should get over Hitler and that the Holocaust didn't happen. Even the stuff that he said about George Floyd was maybe a little bit more ramped up than what he said about slavery. Honestly, if he ramped, because I feel like I'm only saying it because I get the impression that Kanye wants to burn the boats. That's what I get the impression. He wants to burn the boats for real. Like he's just at that stage in life. He wants to burn the boats, or maybe he wants to flex his power and his influence and basically show everybody that, hey, you can take whatever you want from me for this moment, but I'm always going to get it back because people love me so much because of who I am, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like if he really wants to test that hypothesis to be correct, double down and go back to that whole slavery was a choice thing and ramp it up by telling black people that they need to get over slavery, that they need to forget about reparations, there is no such thing as white supremacy, all that sort of stuff. He needs to start saying. I want to hear him say that, because that's going to be a real shout, a real kind of test of his metal. Because I feel like the Jews thing is like he's bullying people who don't really care about him. It's sort of like he's shouting into the wind. You know what I mean? The Jewish community, I think, for the most part, don't give a fuck about what Kanye has to say. It doesn't necessarily affect their day-to-day, especially European Jews, I'd imagine, for the most part. What he says is of little consequence. And the American Jews have already flexed their power by, essentially freezing all his assets and getting him in the hell out of here when it comes to social media things. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, we just said the same thing. There's no deep meaning. That's why I think, too, there's nothing deep in what he's saying. He's just doing it to provoke a reaction. So, let's see. Let's see. But anyway, move on. Have you guys seen this? This is fucking crazy, because this reminded me of the real difference when it comes to content creation online, especially for a streamer. There's no way in absolute hell that you're ever going to see a video like this from a guy receiving a gift like this from somebody that they deem to be a fan. It's literally impossible. This is literally the difference in economy that exists out there in streaming, which I kind of love. I got to be honest. I'm not a fan of simps, but I do love the fact that there are content creators, especially girls, who kind of play up to it and just ball out. There's something really funny about how kind of basic the kind of proposition is. Here's me, hot girl, showcasing my assets in a very tasteful way, some cleavage, some shoulder, maybe a little cheeky bend over when I'm grabbing my cat, and then here's the tip amount that I want, and you just keep cashing it in. And then the more you tip, the more I pretend that you're my friend, and we have this weird parasocial relationship through the screen. I love it. I don't know what, because I guess it's kind of a mutual agreement they're kind of in, right? The simps kind of know what they're simps, and there's no hope of them at all ever meeting these people in real life. And the streamer also gets the ability to kind of tease and play around, and especially if you're a hot girl by nature, I'd imagine you like the attention anyway. Maybe not the attention that you get outside, because it's a little bit creepy and a little bit too direct, and and a bit too much in your face. But from the comfort of your little gamer chair, you can have all the attention that you want, and you also get showered in flipping cash and tips and donations. What an absolutely amazing life. But this is a clip of a Twitch streamer called Amaranth opened a gift for an anonymous viewer that included $70,000 in cash, a new iPhone, and a taser.
YouTuber who's like trying to pull a prank on me or some shit. $20,000
$10,000. Another $10,000, $30,000. These are the 5s, 10s. What the actual fuck?
Absolutely crazy. Look at that.
This has to be either a YouTuber or a taser.
That's incredible, isn't it? You're never ever gonna see the same thing happen to a guy, a male. It doesn't matter if the guy looks like a male model. It's never gonna happen. It's just a different economy when it rotates around, you know, Twitch streamers and stuff online. But like I said, I don't mind it. And I guess for this particular streamer, if I'm not mistaken, Amaranth was the one who was going through that thing where I think an ex or a current husband or something was stalking her, and there was threats to her life and stuff, and she had a breakdown on stream and then took a break. So maybe this is all part of that whole thing, because obviously they got a taser, of course, to look after the person. But if I scroll down more, but yeah, there's information here. So the anonymous viewer, yeah, there's a note, right? More information here courtesy of Dexerto. The anonymous viewer included a letter containing phone numbers for a security. So, the anonymous viewer included a letter containing phone numbers for a prepaid bodyguard service. The note also explained that the cash and self-defense essentials are to protect Amaranth from financial tampering. So I guess you can always have this in the back. So if anything ever was happened to a Twitch stream, you can effectively get the fuck out of Dodge. You got 70 grand in your pocket, you've got a taser, and you got a phone, and you're ready to kind of roll. It's a kind of, you know, the go-to kit for any, you know, James Bond in the making. There's not this like creepy run away with me, please marry me like there normally is the money. LOL, man. Imagine getting 70 grand and you're saying, hey, there's not a creepy vibe to me. What if there was a creepy vibe? Would you give it back? But look at that, there's 70,000 they're lying in cash. But I don't know, man. There's something about it I like, just from the terms of just looking at it as content. I just love how simple the equation is, and I love how much it kind of spits in the face of this idea that, you know, sex doesn't sell. No, sex does sell, especially like, you know, especially like, what do you call it? That sort of like teasing sex, like even more so than porn, I'd imagine, because you're not actually revealing everything. You're revealing something, but it's always like a little bit. You're kind of feigning interest from afar, and it's all kind of real. I don't know how to describe it. There's something just funny about the whole exchange behind it. And being a simp also, I've always been curious about simps profiles. Are simps just guys who are like mostly developmentally challenged? Are they dudes who have loads of disposable income and they kind of just, you know, don't care what they spend their money on? Are they guys who don't have families and they got loads of disposable income they can spend their money on? They're high net worth people. Are they people who are spending, because the meme is they're kids who kind of use their parents' credit cards? Is that true? Is it kids who are disabled and maybe they're using the disability checks and sending that through? What is that money coming? Like, where does that money come from? Because it feels like there's no shortage of simps. They're always out there. It's similar to like the people that get scammed by like Nigerian scammers on email. It feels like there's always, you always receive those scams, right, all the time, the scam emails. So it's like, how many marks exist out there? Surely everyone's seen the videos on YouTube. Surely everyone's seen the documentaries and the news articles. How is it possible that people are still getting scammed off these Nigerian scammers? But then I automatically think of simps. How is it that simps still exist? If there's so much access to all this adult entertainment you can go and watch, why are people still out there simping? But I guess there must be something about it, especially when somebody's talking to you every day on live stream. You know, they're shouting you out in the chat. They're remembering your name here and there. It's kind of maybe the only times you legitimately get attention from the opposite sex, and it feels somewhat genuine. It's from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to go out anywhere. You can sometimes support the journey, whatever it may be. I don't know, man. I'm fascinated by it. I wish I'm sure there exists a flipping documentary out there. I'm pretty sure there does. I probably have to do my research of just a profile of a simp, because the girl thing I understand. I get the understanding of the lusting of the female form, but I would love to know the profile of a simp, like, because I'm pretty sure part of me doesn't believe the meme that all simps are losers. I don't believe it. I don't believe they're all these socially awkward Chris Chan lookalikes or DSP or Wings of Redemption type people. I'm sure there's just really regular, well-adjusted guys who just don't mind sending girls that they don't know crazy amounts of money. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they exist. Like, you know, they've got degrees, they've got good jobs, they live in a good part of town, they're not into anything creepy, they don't collect women's underwear and shit. They're just like regular dudes who like to go home and instead of watching Netflix or watching the sports or shit, they'll just turn on a stream and watch some girl like bounce her tits around in a chair or something. I would love to see it. I really, really would. I really want to see it, man. Chris in the chat saying we definitely need more doctors. Honestly, I wanna meet a real life simp. I really want to meet a real life simp, man. I want to see what the deal is like. What made you this way, man? How did you get to this position? Please tell me. I really, really want to know. But anyway, let's move on to the pièce de résistance. Let's talk about this because I thought this was fucking hilarious. Let me get the clip up on here. Community. So, unfortunately, it looks like Kiki, the brother of AD, who was formerly part of No Jumper and No Jumper Sports and whatnot, has unfortunately been sacked and fired. Fired from the pop-up. Who said here? What's that here? No, it's continue. Was it Darkwave J said I'm a reformed simp? Really, Darkwave J? Who are you simping for? Were you simping for like a hot streamer or just some random person? Can you simp for a man? Is that possible? I don't know who do you but I guess they can, innit? Because I guess all those big male streamers on Twitch, maybe they have a male version of a simp. Maybe it's not as, you know, it's obviously not going to be as sexual, but definitely those guys who kind of do big member bombs and donos bombs and stuff, definitely get it and definitely love it. But let me see if I can find a video here. We simp for you, that's in there. I don't want any simps, man. Just watch my content and keep it moving. Don't simp me, mate. I'm not worthy of the simping. Please, I don't want any simps. So as I was saying, unfortunately, it looks like Big SKEE, who was obviously formerly part of No Jumper and obviously formerly part of No Jumper Sports and all that malarkey, went and joined the pop-up after he got fired from No Jumper because I guess he missed some flights and wasn't doing a good job being Adam 22 security. And then the pop-up was meant to be his opportunity to essentially revive and restore his name and his brand and his career and kind of give him a chance to be his version of Adam 22 and 2, because a lot of us fans of No Jumper felt as if Adam 22 maybe fired him without good reason or good cause. Then we found out all the reasons. Oh yeah, big up 47. Then we found out all the reasons why he may have got fired, and it kind of opened all of our eyes as to, oops, maybe this is a bit more of a complicated issue than we first thought it to be. But I also got the impression when Kiki went to do the pop-up, it was sort of his way to kind of, you know, middle finger back up at Adam 22, like, see, I can do also. I've also got the source. I'm also somebody that can create an entire network or whatnot and use as a launching pad to do other shows and other things in culture, blah, 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 blah. And for all intents and purposes, it started off pretty well. It started off okay. The beginning parts of it were pretty much okay, but then quite quickly it devolved into the absolute shocker of an affair to the point where now he got fired. So I'm going to play the video for you now, courtesy of No Jumper. Again, big up them on the subreddit for putting this little compilation together, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a background as to why this occurred and how this occurred, and kind of lays it all out. I think I really like this video, so let's check it out. Is this actually is this the video? Is it the whole thing? This is the whole thing. I think this whole thing. It is. Yeah. Let's check this out. It's fucking hilarious.
He said, he was like, man, you know what, man? You know, we all tight, man. Let's do a Friendsgiving, man. Like, let's link up and just kick back, man, and just show the fans how we just gonna kick it and eat, man. We just gonna sit down, set up a few plates. See Skee's plate, right? This is this round one.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. To all the fans out there. Anybody that rock with us, support us.
3 days later.
Look, I got a PSA. I will not be a part of the pop-up no more. No. I know it's hard to believe I started that gangster shit, but this is the
Not gonna lie, brother, it's not hard to believe at all. It's not hard to believe.
Motherfucking thanks I get. But I just feel like if y'all told me we was parting ways and it was over with, the channel was canceled, then out of nowhere, it's back up. I like the love, man. Loyalty is everything. Jesus Christ.
all three. This is Skee's post, I guess, on Instagram stories. Him kind of, I guess, tagging the guys involved in it who are meant to be partners with him, investors, which is weird because if you're investing, you should be putting some money up. Anyway, we continue. Screenshot. All three of y'all said that you would continue the show after I built it. Thanks for having my back, for real, for real. Let's take SKEE TV to another level.
I'm sure you guys know we asked, we separated ourselves from Kiki, but we want to make it very clear, if you're owed money, trust me, it's money I didn't see.
I got flooded today. So and so owes me,
So if you're wondering why he may have got fired, he was guest taking in money for interviews, which is something that is only an American thing. I've never heard of anybody in content creation in the UK who does podcast type things talking about paying guests. Or maybe it's a thing that happens behind the scenes that no one really knows about. And maybe the whole idea behind it is that you fake that you're friends, but then really the person's only there because you pay them. But I feel like for the most part, when some of these people come on these platforms like podcasts or, shows online or streams, they're doing it for the love, and they're also doing it to get in front of that streamer's audience because they've got a far bigger audience that's actively watching that thing than anything that they can, muster on their own on their flipping Instagram live. So it's a kind of a mutual beneficial kind of agreement. But I guess in America, maybe because podcasting and all that stuff has become its own little industry kind of tied directly to flipping the music industry, maybe people have realized the value of their platform that they have, and if they can get some money out of it, why not? But I don't know, man. I if it was me, I'd feel weird taking money for somebody for an interview. For what? Like, odd. But anyway, this is an exchange I guess him doing with somebody where Kiki's saying to someone, keep our payment plan between us, Crow. I'm gonna look out for you, watch. Whenever someone says that to you, I'm gonna look out for you, promise, watch, whatever. It's usually the opposite of what they mean. Come on, bro, I can't thank you enough, for real. And obviously it didn't happen.
Owes me an interview, I dropped some money, I need a reimbursement. So I guess that's what this emergency
meetings about.
Someone posted, I guess, somewhere, maybe it's the pop-up subreddit. Yeah, I think it is. I spent money for my pop-up interview, in all caps. Flew out from the East Coast, did the interview. Kiki isn't the king of content, but I figured it'll be good exposure. Now the interview might not come out. What the fuck? Homie better run me back my money. Nah, son, I got your info, dog. To be fair, if you're flying from across the country to go and do an interview with the channel at the time that had like 4,000 subs with somebody who's not that well known, and you're paying, you probably deserve to get scammed. I'm not gonna lie. If you're that easy separated from your money that you'd pay for an interview for a channel that has 4,000 subs across the country, it's just insane. Unless you're legitimately thinking that audience is going to be the key to like taking you to the next level. That is wild. Oh shit, I just saw a super chat here. Whoa, big up Hipster. $20 super chat. Why hasn't it come through? Why is my Streamlabs so slow? It takes ages for it to show up on the screen. But there's a $20 super chat here from Hipster. Big up. No message or anything. Just a cool little animation. I appreciate you, big dog. I appreciate you. But yeah, I see posts like this and I think to myself, like, how are people getting scammed so easily in 2022? Please tell me, especially if you're a young kid as well. You should be way more native to the internet and social media and scams in general. You should just know while going on with the game and not be easily duped. Oh, there we go. Big up Hits a Handyman for the $19.99 through super chat. I appreciate you, big dog. I appreciate you. But let's roll on with the video.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just, this decision, it was made up last Sunday.
Another one. I paid Kiki $500 to be put on the pop-up, but he got fired. Where can I get a refund? He said he was going to look out for me, but I'm blocked now. I wonder if this is a troll, because that sounds so funny. 500. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Maybe if you want to pay for an interview, maybe if somebody tells you, "Hey, pay for my gas to get over to the place. Maybe pay for my lunch and my fuel for my car." Even though I still feel that's a bit scammy, and a little bit corny, a little bit lame, and a little bit, I don't know. It just feels gross to do that. But just imagine. Okay, maybe cover the cost of all that shit for the day, $100, cool, and we'll grab a meal afterwards or something. You don't maybe tell them, but maybe that's part of it. You maybe, you break them off and you buy a meal and you get them something to eat and stuff and you hang out or whatnot. Cool. Can't happen all the time, but maybe that might be a thing. But $500 if he's charging $500, how much is No Jumper meant to charge? Legit, like how much are they meant to charge? If he's charging 500, how much is No Jumper should be charged? I know they don't, but if they do, god damn it.
Sunday evening, you know, I've been getting a lot of fucking messages from people I don't even know, bro. Like, why am I blocked? Why do, you know, am I owed this and that? And I just kind of just want to...
Where's my money?
Taking people's money and then blocking them is supreme scammy behavior. That's like chef kiss, top tier Champions League World Cup level winning of scamming. Let me take your money and then I block you. Wow.
No, listen,
money back.
I'm not going to...
That must hurt more than when a girl gives you the number, you text them and then they block you. I think that's the ultimate flex. They just go on what you're saying. Yeah, I like you too. Let me give you my number. Let's meet up sometime. You text them. One tick. Anyway, he took the rug. Kiki took the rug after being fired. I don't blame him though. It's a good rug. The logo's pretty cool. Let's be honest. The logo's pretty cool. The rug's pretty cool. So I don't blame him for taking the rug. It's a cool rug.
I was hurt.
Were you hurt?
I was fucking hurt, dog.
You're in your feelings?
Fuck you mean you did this by yourself, homie? I spent 20 fucking K.
Yeah, dog.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was hurt.
We did drive. It took us.
Kiki is currently working DoorDash after getting fired. Bro also is doing DoorDash and Uber Eats. He was at KFC first and then the next he was at Pizza Joint. Like shit's sad because bro act like we don't see it. This internet is cringe as fuck. Yo. What a fall from grace, isn't it? This I think is a cautionary tale for most people out there, especially if you're part of a organization and network, especially social media content creation type stuff. I think this also goes back to Brendan Schaub. This is a really good connection point to Brendan Schaub because I remember ages ago, I mentioned it a million times here on the stream, but I remember one time Joey Diaz basically giving Lee Sayat a flipping telling off in terms of saying, hey, don't ask me to introduce me to my big comedy friends or hang out with us or come on our shows because you need to start hanging out with people who are at your same level, because if you keep hanging around with me and Bill Burr and Joe Rogan, you're going to feel like you're at our level and you're going to start moving like you're a big dog when you're not, when you're still a novice and you're still new to this game, and it's going to give you an outsized sense of self. And I think the same thing happened to Kiki. Kiki was too close to everybody. He was too near everyone doing shows, right next to Adam, and it gave him and of course he was a good background noise and came in sometimes and chirped in and was quite fun on the shows. But I think because of that, it all got to his head and he started thinking he's a far bigger part of the overall machine than he actually was, when in fact he was just, the security who happened to be, AD's half brother, but also happened to be cool and funny and personable and shit, but that was it. It just ended there. He should just play his position, happy to be the security guy and kept it moving. But when he started to get these delusions and these ideas that he was a top tier content creator and he needs to have his own show, and that show didn't go well, then it flopped, it fucked him. If he just would have played his position, did a security thing, jumped in from time to time and offered his little two-piece on topics and here and there and whatever, and was maybe provided like a laugh track in the back, all that stuff is important. I don't think you always need to be on front of the camera and be the kind of the big star guy. Sometimes just being on the sideline and kind of holding people down is actually an integral part of it. Also, you're seeing already in the World Cup, there are people in the World Cup in those squads who won't ever touch the grass. They'll never ever play any minutes, but they're going to be crucial for the overall squad harmony. So you can't be throwing strops on the bench and being all pissed off you're not playing because you want to allow your teammates to feel comfortable enough to do their thing, because they're not going to be always worried that there's someone on the bench that's pissed off they're not playing. You need to create a whole holistic environment and feeling, and Kiki was doing that, but then he just got too gassed and he thought he could be bigger than what he needed to be, and it ended up crushing him. And now look, my man's out here doing DoorDash and shit. Like, oh man, this is horrible to see. I'm not gonna lie.
It was almost a month to find the location, so it wasn't like
it's all right. It's all right. I ain't tripping, dog.
No.
Wait, buddy, man. I give loyalty first. If it ain't giving back, then I cut your ass off. You know what I'm saying?
I know our loyalty got questioned pretty hard in the Reddit and the comments and the DMs and the posts. But I mean, how much loyalty can
Kiki's telling fans to unsubscribe from the pop-up out of spite and anger. Got you, unsub. Come on, Kiki, man. You can't be doing this, man. This is too much.
You give somebody or give an individual or individuals before it's like, fuck, dog, enough's enough.
Enough's enough, right?
Is there a limit? Is there a number? Is there a number of chances? I mean, I do agree with second chances.
I'll go up there and have a no jumper interview. You know they want to sit down and talk to the big skeezer. You know? So of course.
Look at that screenshot. Look at that. 3 firings in a row. Fired number 1 from No Jumper for no show, no calling, missing his flight, making excuses and not apologizing to the boss, which is crazy, right? The non-apology is absolutely insane. And I think he was also complaining that he didn't get breaks, right? Can I get a break? Can I get a break? Like, imagine being security and complaining you don't get breaks. Like, aren't you meant to be looking after and securing the talent or whoever's hiring you? Essentially, from threats to his life. Essentially, you can't have a break unless he sleeps, right? That's the whole point. But anyway, move on. Next, fired for the lowest ratings in No Jumper history and creeping out women in the studio. I think this is when it happened. This is when the whole Yuri Riley thing happened, right? He started to become a bit more of a face in front of the camera, and then he went on 10 Talks, I think, and essentially started to get weird and creepy and flirty with Yuri's girlfriend, Riley. I guess I always wonder why that happened. Also, was that the first time you ever saw her in real life? Because she works at No Jumper. I understand she's attractive, but why was he so excited in that occasion when she was in front of him? I wonder what happened. Like, what was the turning point? Maybe he saw her wearing a certain outfit and he just couldn't help it. But that interview was incredibly uncomfortable to watch, even as an outsider. And then the last one here, for scamming rappers and pocketing money, blocking customers and bringing in no views. And he's got a No Jumper tattoo on the side of his head. You know that? He's got the No Jumper logo here on the side of his head, man. God almighty, man. Oh, so sad. And then we're gonna check out another video, but just to end it, I think, because someone said already here, don't they all get delusional in the end? I think they all do, but I don't think it's something anybody should strive for. And I think if you are recognizing or seeing yourself get delusional, you should be able to pull yourself out of it, because I feel like, especially like if you're able to like work within No Jumper, which is already a ready-made machine, and you just happen to be an auxiliary character who's able to maybe, you know, get some money put in his pocket from time to time, jump on an odd stream here and there, it's not that bad of a life, really. I don't see why you'd kind of be wanting to try and chase other things so aggressively when maybe that kind of basic thing you have is pretty decent. And if you do want to chase something aggressively, why not just set up your own channel and do that on the side after every live show that you do with No Jumper? That'd be pretty decent. I guess if you're security, you can't do that, but if you want to do that way, do it that way. But this idea that he could go and leave No Jumper and start an entire network on his own when he was unable to wake up to, you know, secure flipping Adam 22 when he's going to the airport and shit, and the show that he did on No Jumper, the No Jumper sports show, was bringing in shitty views, and maybe it wasn't well produced or whatever it may be. To have the idea that you could legitimately set up an entire network is absolutely incredibly delusional, to the point where it doesn't even bother even explaining. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, play your position, know your role, simmer your dreams down, and we all know not everyone could be Adam 22, not everyone could be Vlad, not everyone could be academics. Maybe sometimes just being the auxiliary laugh track in the background or the tough guy in the corner is actually a decent thing. It pays the wages, it keeps you moving, it's not a bad thing. And then obviously we're gonna have to continue this and kind of break down a little bit of Big Ski going on community clips. He went on his brother's channel, community clips, which is an interesting conundrum as well, because if you're AD, it's a difficult situation to be in. It's a very difficult situation to be in if you're AD. But essentially, he went there to kind of speak his mind and let people know what the real deal was, because, you know, the narrative coming out there was, from especially that video and the clips that we've seen there, is that Big Ski is a scammer and he was taking money under the table and blocking people and doing all that sort of weird shit, and he wasn't really an investor in a company and all this sort of stuff, blah, blah, blah. So clearly he had to go and, you know, clear his name out there in these East streets, and let's just say it probably made me feel worse for him, to be honest. Let's see if we can load this up on time. Come on. Oh, look how far down I got to it. Let's go rewind to the start. But yeah, this actually made me feel way worse. Come on, load, you absolute mug. There you go. By the way, that's always a line you hear from somebody that needs money and they're broke. All I need. All I need. It's always like all I need. Like it's a small request. Like this is it. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. But bro, you don't have the tiny bit. So it's not all you need. This is everything you need. You know what I mean? Maybe you need some more actually. Oh man, I feel so bad for the guy, man. God almighty, honestly. Living day to day in LA must be so brutal. You're always on a knife edge. You were so close to poverty. From the time he worked at No Jumper, you never really heard these complaints or these worries. And then suddenly you get let go and you need investors to buy a laptop. Shit.
Is what I need. I could do my shit, my SKEE TV out the living room. I'll be able to pay you back off of SKEE TV.
Exactly, Koila, what I requested. And the Lord said, I requested from the Lord. The Lord bless me with this Audemars. The Lord bless me with that Jeep Cherokee. The Lord will grant your request. Put in 10% type in the bucket and you also will drive a Ferrari. Like, what?
Shit is all good. Really funny jokes.
Hey, Glizzies. What's happening in the chat? What? Oh shit, what, is that true? Someone hacked Bobby Lee's Twitter and selling laptops. You know what? I remember once getting no, what did I get scammed by? I didn't get scammed, but I remember getting duped once. Do you remember early on in Twitter when was it Elon Musk's Twitter or something? Maybe Elon's Twitter where there was that Bitcoin thing. Oh yeah, send something amount of Bitcoin to this sort of address. Something. I think I nearly got caught out on one time. I thought it was his. I don't know. I think because at the time I listened to an Elon Musk podcast where he was like talking about Bitcoin. Then I saw that tweet and I immediately thought, oh shit, this is what he's doing, some giveaway or something. I remember clicking on it or doing something, but then as soon as it went, oh yeah, send this amount, I was like, go fuck yourself. I just kind of X'd off it. But I remember that being a scam. I think it was Elon. It was like an Elon bot. Every time he tweeted, there was like a link that said, yeah, send this and you're gonna get something. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember that thing? It happened all the time on Elon. I think so. I'm pretty sure. Okay, cool. The chat's back as well. I had to refresh the chat. Now that's back as well. Awesome. Let's go. Let's continue.
Everything is cool. Niggas take a picture after the game, all that. Everything is smooth.
And I always wonder that other guy too. Who's that guy? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the one. That's one. Colin knows that one. Yeah, that's one that nearly got me. That Bitcoin for a match. That dude that does philanthropy online on Twitter, I sometimes retweet just for the fun of it. But I wonder, is he a scammer as well? I think most of you know who I'm talking about. He's like a white guy that got like a really smiley, massive, wide face, and he's always doing like flipping like a giveaway. Retweet this, make sure you're following me, and I'll give somebody a certain, I don't know, 10 grand via Cash App or something, or PayPal. You know that kind of guy? I wonder if he's a scammer actually. I wonder if there's going to be an expose on him, like a documentary, people exposing the fact that he doesn't actually send anyone any money, and he just does it to kind of increase his follower account, because it's a pretty cool way to hack the system if you want more followers. Make sure you're following me, make sure you like this, so his engagement must be through the roof. Because if you think about it, I'm just speaking out loud, but if you do that kind of scam and you try and do these fake giveaways and your engagement is sick, you could essentially use it as an option to kind of get brand deals, to do sponsorships and stuff with other companies and say, hey, I got this sick engagement on this page that I manage, use it to promote your business, and then people can then pay you a flat fee, 30 grand, 50 grand, 100,000 to like promote stuff, because you just got these fake fucking engagement because you do these fake fucking giveaways of money. I wonder if that's a thing people do. I wonder.
Morning, I get it. Feel what I'm saying? I got a battery I gotta get.
Yeah, AD laugh. Did AD laugh? Did he laugh? Hold on. Did he laugh? I think he might have laughed. AD, did he laugh?
Tire I'm riding on up in the front too. You feel what I'm saying? I got a battery I gotta.
That car must be shaky, innit? Because usually the spare tire is really thin compared to your regular tire, so it looks like you're already on fucking Paul Street. Horrible, right? The way I'm sure car companies do it because they want you to actually buy a legit wheel, and obviously maybe to keep the weight down or something. But I hate how car companies now give you spare tires that are like really thin, so it looks terrible. It's like a fucking bicycle wheel. And then and then he's driving on a flat tire also. Fucking hell. It's like it's sunset and he's like 6'8", so that shit is like way down. That's a big ute to be driving like that, man. God almighty. That's what I'm thinking. Like, imagine being in that kind of position, right? Like in your life, and you're worried about starting a YouTube channel. Sorry, you're worried about starting a podcasting network or something. Shouldn't your focus be on getting your day-to-day right before you even venture into that sort of stuff? Like, do that as fun on the side to maybe, you know, get some extra money to buy weed and to buy some liquor so you don't have to, you know, spend it from your paycheck or something. But like trying to build your entire life off the back of a podcast network when you have no experience of it prior, just because you were used to hanging around with no jumper people, is legitimately insane. To the point where you have to drive around with a spare tire and a flat tire. And you got this guy here who's doing very well for himself in your family, but you don't exactly want to call him up because you don't want to look like a loser. But God almighty, man, that is pain. God almighty, Kiki, what are you doing to yourself, brother, man? I'm sorry, but that guy deserved to get scammed. He paid $500 for this. The nigga. And I know I'm only got a shitty webcam and it's very far away and I'm not, you know, the best in frame and there's hardly any lighting here. You can just about see my bottom of my mouth, but look at this. Like, excuse me? This is what you pay $500 for? At the time of recording, they had, at the time, no. This is why sometimes I wonder to myself, I wonder this is what happened to who's that guy who's turned into a scammer? The guy that does all the scam busting stuff on YouTube. And now that his friends are implicated in the whole FTX thing or SFX, whatever that fucking thing is, right? He's now kind of defending his friends, right? And being a little bit scammy with the stuff that he's kind of defending. And I think he's defending that that stuff about the land that you buy from Scotland and you can become a sir or something. I wonder if sometimes if you're kind of dissecting and breaking down people that do scams online, because you see it so close all the time and you see how susceptible people are to getting scammed and how easily they're separated from their hard-earned money, sometimes it kind of makes you want to do it too, because you see how easy people get scammed. So I wonder if maybe the fact that, you know, flipping what's his face, Kiki was next to all those guys, and, you know, no jumper, when they do that live stream where they let people, you know, you send them links to your SoundCloud and they pay for $200 and shit. I wonder if that was part of it. Like, he saw how easy people were willing to send them $200 to flipping play their shitty flipping SoundCloud song, and he's like, you know what, there's a scam in this, innit? And if some person was able to willingly send him $200-$300, then maybe he's like, you know what, why not, let's just double down on it. So I don't know who I'm blaming in that regard. Because in 2022, if you're a kid and you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're willing to spend $500 on somebody else's thing, you deserve to get scammed. So really, that $500 should be going to your pocket or back into your stuff. You shouldn't be paying somebody else to do your shit. This is crazy. Anyway, you know what? This is too much pain for me, man. It's breaking my heart. In the end, the guy got fired from fucking, you know, another easy position that he was in that he should have not been fired from, because he's just doing too much, and, you know, he clearly doesn't have the acumen that he thinks he has in order to kind of run a network and all that things, because it's clearly much harder than what it looks like. And yeah, man, it's just a cautionary tale. Play your position, know your role, don't outstretch yourself just for the sake of kind of, you know, keeping up appearances. It's not needed, it's not necessary, and you're gonna end up fucking yourself over in the long run. But Jesus Christ, man, I can't understand these people. I really don't. And then next, I want to quickly touch upon this one. I thought this was fucking interesting. Let's just click on this. Let's just see if it doesn't play. Oh, it's gonna play, in it. So this is a video someone put together on a No Jumper subreddit that I really loved. Everyone's utilizing that search engine that somebody created really to good effect. It's quite hard to utilize it because, unfortunately, with flipping Brian Callen doing his Afghanistan and all that stupid pronunciation he does, and the fact that Brendan Schaub can barely speak the English language, it's quite difficult to find certain words if you spell them correctly. But if you do a little bit of tweaking around, you do some Schaubinese and whatnot, and you maybe omit some letters here and there and switch stuff stuff around, you can find some gold mine to put together some interesting clips and compilations together, like this person put together, which is kind of tracing Brendan Schaub's descent into alcoholism. And to me, I find it interesting because I've said from the beginning, or I think I've posed on the stream a couple of times, I've said on the stream, and maybe some people can answer here as well, what's more ludicrous, like what's more cringe, like, you know, in terms of the situation, like, you know, going through the majority of life being straight edge and suddenly turning into a drug addict when you're mid-30s, or turning into an alcoholic when you're mid-30s. Like, what's the worst thing? Like, literally, what's the worst thing? And I think for whatever reason, somehow becoming an alcoholic in your mid-30s when you didn't really drink that much prior just strikes me as the worst thing possible, because it's so cheap. Yeah, someone said here in the comments, because it's so much cheaper. I guess drugs, you can only, there's only a finite amount that you can buy. Your money can only go so far, but the boosting is so destructive and it ruins your appearance so quickly. By the looks of it, that is quite shocking to see, to be honest, because, you know, Brendan was legitimately like a good looking dude. He was somebody that you would describe as quote unquote handsome, and he has legitimately, down the years, through just overconsumption of alcohol and obviously food, he's just looked completely horrible. And obviously he doesn't believe in moisturizer and that kind of stuff. It doesn't probably help his appearance to his face, but he looks terrible, legitimately looks terrible. But this is a good video that kind of breaks down the entire run. Someone uploaded the Find the Kids server, they're going to play it now.
And he said his rule was, if you have a job the next day, no alcohol for 24 hours.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, I've always
fighting, I'm sure, same way and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
Because the alcohol's still in your
Some
system.
people need it, though.
Some people can
Some
deal.
people kill it on alcohol.
Some
Some
people
people kill it on weed.
That's
or
right.
Cocaine, or I've just.
Well, you're such a disciplined, controlled guy that you never will ever be in danger of.
Callan always got his Brendan's flipping wee-wee in his mouth, innit? I never understood this relationship that they have, this thing where Callan does, where he's always having to like preface stuff like this and massage Brendan's ego. I know you're his friend, but these lines that he does is always really cringe.
No. Having alcohol get in the way of anything.
Oh no.
It's just some people can't turn it off.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Never met a little buzz. Ooh. They say, you know, or what's there's one bear.
Jesus Christ. You know what I find really funny about this clip as well? I just remember, I just kind of figured out now while I was watching it. I find it really funny that he's trying to act like this is, like he's trying to go on as if like he's taking a crazy amount of beer to the face when he's pouring this little flask in his mouth that's meant to be look like a shoe, when really the whole point of a shoey is that it's in a fucking shoe and it's fucking gunky and you've been sweating it all day, and there's going to be loads of it splashing all across your face and whatnot, and it's not going to be, you know, the most comfortable way to drink a drink. It's going to be kind of, it might be drowning you in you know, for lack of a better term. But drinking it from a flask and pouring it into your mouth upside down, that doesn't necessarily, it's not going to, it's so over dramatic. It's just egging it up and making it seem like quite crazy. It's not that big of a deal. But Jesus Christ, mate, the descent to alcoholism is absolutely wild. That the face that he pulls here, God almighty, mate. Like, he looks all the way swollen up. But look at the side of his face. Like I know he's probably got pouches in there and stuff, but he legitimately looks like he's been punched up. Like, this is shocking. And look at the start, how, you know, it's not much, but how clear and always, you know, pretty slim. You can even tell from his legs and how he's sitting in a chair, very comfortable, very chill, not bloated or anything or looking crazy. And then suddenly, you know, it just goes crazy. I think this is the era as well, 2019, when he started like fucking sipping whiskeys directly from the bottle without using a glass or anything, which was fucking insane. But look at that. Jesus Christos, man. What a way to go out, innit? Imagine that. That is a way to definitely go out. Bit crazy for me personally. I'm not really too sure how that really makes any sense, to be completely fair. And also I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe because I was lucky that I didn't really get into the booze thing super early in life. And also I'm not, you know, I don't really find booze incredibly, you know, refreshing like some people maybe do. That might help things, but I don't know, man. Like if you've got the ability to make money where you just talk, you know, into a microphone in front of a camera, and you essentially got you know, ability to basically make your own schedule and shit. You shouldn't need to be an alcoholic. I feel like being an alcoholic should be reserved to people who have like actual work jobs, because you have to, like, you know, numb yourself from the drudgery of everyday life, so you turn to the bottle. That makes more sense. But I can't think of somebody that has the ability to make their own schedule. You get to hang out with your kids and your family all the time. You get to see your friends when you want. You get to go and do what you want. Why would you be an alcoholic? You should only be an alcoholic if you're working a dead-end job, a 9 to 5 like the rest of us do, and you have to just, you know, fucking block out the day and just wake up in the morning to do it again. So you just, you know, down a bottle of proper 12 and keep it moving. But I can't imagine being an alcoholic at this stage. But maybe it's maybe it's kind of, you know, it kind of doesn't make sense, because actually the more disposable income you have and the more time you have in your hands, maybe you have the ability and the potential to turn into that kind of person. Maybe. But I can't imagine being a form. The thing that makes it really bad for Brendan is that he was a former professional athlete. I know people don't rate him in terms of his fighting prowess, but he was a former professional athlete. A former professional athlete of the highest level. He played professional, you know, American football for a bit. I know that didn't go too well, but still, UFC, he was at the top, doing this thing. He obviously wasn't great at it, but still at the top. So clearly a life dedicated to sports, health and fitness and shit, where, you know, you're not kind of like, it's not foreign to you to wake up in the morning and go for a workout and then do the same thing again in the PM. You do 2 a days, you run, you know, long distances to up your cardio in the weekend. That gives you a good base, so you're always kind of like, you know, on a good level. Because make no mistake, there's people out there that probably do a bunch of stuff, but you always got that base of you that can always kind of, you know, you always got this foundation you can kind of go back to, or that you can kind of rely on and stand on. But for some reason, I guess maybe for the other, it works the opposite with some people. Some people might be like, you know what, I've dedicated my entire life to sports. Now that I'm doing this comedy thing, I'm going to go directly into that kind of life and not, you know, and not kind of be the guy that's turning up to the flipping comedy store with running shoes and going for a run after my set or something. I get it. I get that respect, but I don't know, man. I just feel like it's super sad to see this dude turn into an alcoholic in his mid-30s when he didn't drink that hard prior before. I just feel like it's really lame. It's kind of the same thing, like, you know, somebody suddenly getting a fucking neck tattoo at 40 years old. It's just like, really? Now you're getting a neck tattoo, 45 years old? This is the time you get it? This is when you're a badass? Okay, I guess so, innit? I guess so. But anyway, what do I know, innit? What do I know? Anyway, it's 5:20 here in the UK, 5:17 actually, so I've got a jet. I don't want to hold you guys any longer. Just thought I'd do a quick one and kind of change up the subject this time around. It was mostly a no jumper, Adam 22 kind of thing, you know. So let's see what you guys think. Especially I'm curious to see what people think that are gonna watch the stream later on. Especially when I put the timestamps on there and see if they like the subject or not. If you want it to be mostly comedy stuff, but I'll switch up the subjects just to kind of keep it fresh, so I'm not talking about the same people all the time. But yeah, man. Yeah. Of course I saw that. To be fair, Rogan's been smoking cigarettes for a while though. I remember Rogan did that because of Dave Chappelle. Because Dave Chappelle says that he likes that nicotine hit, and I remember Rogan saying one day he took a swig of, or like a puff of, you know, Dave Chappelle's nicotine to get that kind of rush, and it kind of helps him with his comedy. So he's been doing it for a while. But yeah, big up Rogan. It won't be long before we see fucking Brendan Schaub smoking cigarettes now as well. You know, he loves to copy everything Brendan Rogan does. But anyway, thanks again for everyone that tuned in. I appreciate every single one of you for hanging in there with me. It's an absolute pleasure to have your company as per usual. For whatever reason, this chat keeps on freezing and not loading up for some reason. I don't know why, but still, big up everyone that's been tuned in and hanging there. I do appreciate every single one of you for hanging in there with me. It's been a fun one. Obviously, if you enjoyed the show, please make sure that you're smashing the like button for me on my Lickle stream. That'll be greatly appreciated. And for those of you who, you know, maybe enjoy the show and want to come back and check out other things concerning myself, why not subscribe so you can get more information regarding me? And as usual, I've got a Patreon episode coming out actually tomorrow, so if you're on the Patreon, keep an eye out for that. Patreon, you can join it also. The link is in the description. Patreon.com/Agostino. It's only $1. You get some bonus episodes on there, so I'm going to be on the Patreon. You have an episode dropping on there tomorrow. I've got a DJ live stream happening very soon also, you should check out, and other bits and bobs, and obviously a podcast show coming later on later on today you'll see a podcast obviously coming out as well, so if you want to check that out you can. But apart from that, big up everybody that's been hanging out. I do appreciate every single one of you in the chat. Big up Fly Society, big up Uche, big up I Saved Harlem, big up Coiler as usual, big up Dark Web J, big up Lanchin V, who else is on here, blah blah blah, bare people, I guess. I can't really see all of you right now because it's going crazy. Big up Eddie D, big up everybody that's been tuning in. I do appreciate every single one of you, and we will hang out again very 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 soon. But for those of you that have been tuning in, big up, and just yeah man, hang in there, be tight, you know, love your neighbors and shit, play your position, don't go too crazy, and I'll see you guys again very very soon. Peace.